You just need to hit the down arrow for your slides. Hi, everybody. How are you? Good. So we got a great guest speaker today. Jay Thompson is an expert on small business lending and capital acquisition for small businesses in general. And rather than having me talk secondhand about all these things, I thought it would be great to have Jay come in and talk about it directly for you. So without further ado, I give the stage over to Jay.
All right. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Great. All right. This is a better looking class than last time.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, I also heard you were his favorite class, so I don't know, just so you know. But again, I am Jay Thompson. I'm the lead business consultant at the CSU Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. How many people know that CSU Bakersfield has a small business development center? Wow. Okay, we're not getting the message out. I wonder why that is.
I need to do a better job getting the message out.
Yeah.
We have a small business development center, everybody.
Has anybody ever heard of the SBA, the Small Business Administration? Yeah? No? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're just going to pretend that you have. Well, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, is part of the national government, and the administrator reports directly to the president. And so they have a bunch of things available for entrepreneurship, small businesses, because small businesses create almost 70% of all the jobs that are created, and they're probably 90% of all the businesses that are across America are what's considered small. SBA standards are for small businesses. It varies a little bit, but approximately 10 to 15 million, less than 10 to 15 million annual revenue, and less than 500 employees. That classifies you as a small business. What we consider a small business at the Small Business Development Center would be more like 50 employees max, even though we do have a couple clients that are pushing a little larger than that. Most of them are going to be family-owned type businesses that you would kind of think a small business would be. So anyways, their definition is pretty grand, where ours is a little more realistic to what we would see around here. The Small Business Administration, they have a bunch of programs, training, they have loan programs that we're going to talk about today. But they don't actually lend money. They have what they call a loan guarantee program. So you would go to your bank that would provide the loan, and the SBA would provide a guarantee on that. Why did they do that? Because the banks don't like to lend money, especially to small business owners. And anybody here own a small business now? No? Anybody know a small business owner? Okay, now I feel better. Anybody here want to have their own business? And you're in the entrepreneurship class, right? Okay, so here's a scoop. I haven't had a job since 1982. I've worked for myself. And my opinion is you're going to make somebody wealthy over the course of your career, and it can either be you or your employer. You decide. So, you know, can you tell me why you're here in school? You know, what they always tell you, you go to high school and get good grades so you can go to college. And then you go to college and get good grades so you can get a what? A good job? It's kind of an oxymoron, right? Is there really a good job out there? I mean, they pay you enough money so you don't quit, and you do enough work so they don't fire you, right? But the bottom line is you have no control, right? And so when you have your own business, that gives you control. And doesn't mean you don't have a boss. I mean, success is the most demanding boss you will ever have. But you will receive the fruits and the rewards of your labors. And it's like nothing else. I mean, I like to travel. I traveled several times this year, and I didn't have to ask anybody permission. Hey, can I have the next month off because I want to go back east? You know what I did? I pull out my calendar and I block it off. I'm not available then because I'm going out of town, right? So anyways, I would encourage you to seriously think about having your own business. And the truth is, if you find something that you love to do, not like to do, but love to do, you'll never work another day in your life. And you know, what I found, I love to help people. That's why I'm in business. Because that's the whole focus of my business, is to help small business owners, entrepreneurs to succeed in whatever they're trying to do. But you know, the truth is, if you find something that you're really passionate about, you will have a blast. You'll make more money than you will in a job. And it's not all about the money. But the money is just like a measurement tool. Like in school, you get grades, right? It shows how well you do in the class. In business, your report card is your balance sheet, right? So, anyways, so we'll talk about that. Personally, you know, I set my alarm clock at 10 minutes to 6 every morning because the average American gets up at 6 a.m. and I want to beat them. So I'll tell you a secret. I wake up before that every morning and my alarm never goes off because I'm passionate about what I do and I'm excited and I just want to get to the day so I can go out and help people. And it's a lot of fun. So I would highly recommend that you investigate finding a business that you would be passionate about and then doing that. So today we're going to talk about small business funding. Has anybody here ever tried to get a loan? Auto loan or something like that? Yeah. Not a lot of fun, is it? You know, anybody been involved in like a real estate transaction? Yeah. So there again, now the paperwork starts getting thicker, right? And you got notaries documenting signatures. But to get a small business loan, it's probably easier to get a $500,000 home loan than it is to get a $50,000 business loan. And that might not be 100% true, but quite often it seems to be the case. So we're going to talk about the loan programs and then some alternative financing too. So why don't we get started here? So the most prevalent loans out there are the SBA guaranteed loans. And the reason is there's several factors that a bank is looking at before they'll lend money. And if you're a little weak on one of those factors, they're going to say no. Matter of fact, all loans start at no. You actually have to convince the lender that you're a worthy risk so that they're willing to lend money to you. So if you're not really strong on everything you need to be, you know, maybe you have business experience and you have some assets, but you don't have all the assets you should have, or maybe you don't have the business experience, but you're going to hire a manager in who does, right, and that'll be part of your team. Well, they say, well, you're not 100% here, you're a little shaky, so that's when you would go to the SBA loan guarantee program. And most of the small businesses are going to end up over there. Unless you've had a long relationship with a commercial bank, you're probably going to need the guarantee program. There's alternative financing. We use the Fresno CDFI, which is a community development financial institution, CDFI. There's another organization for the rural communities, is RCAC. That's Rural Community Assistance Corporation. So they provide funding for small businesses that are in little cities that are less than 50,000 population. So Tehachapi, Arvin, Lamont, the county areas, maybe up to Delano, Taft, those would all qualify. And then there's another one, Valley Economic Development Corporation. And most of these are going to be a lot smaller loans. RCAC will go up to $150,000. They'll lend more than that, but then they're going to partner with an SBA guaranteed lender. But these guys will do what we call micro loans, which are $50,000 or less. And a lot of times that'll be a fit for a client. If you need more than $150,000, then these would not be your choice here. USDA, who's ever heard of that? United States Department of Agriculture. They have lending loan programs too, and they actually loan their own money, where the SBA guarantees doesn't lend. And I shouldn't say they don't lend. They do. The SBA does have a disaster loan program where they lend dollars, but all the other stuff is guaranteed through a traditional lender. The USDA, they're big on obviously anything to do with ag. Value-added ag is a big thing right now that they will lend money for. We have 4 clients in Tehachapi that have vineyards, and they have special financing programs. Like if you have, say you have 2 or 3 varieties of grapes and you want to add another variety, they'll fund that. So the 4 Fs, anybody ever heard of this before? No? So where do you get your money? Well, when you're starting a business, founders, that would be you and your partners, whoever you're going into business with. You know, you need to look in under the cushions in the couch and dig deep in your pockets and see what you can put together. Your family, right? That's a pretty good resource, but usually what we find is family and friends are usually the biggest dream killers, and they're always going to tell you, don't do it, play it safe. What'd you get a degree for? Now you want to open your own business? And, play it safe, get a job. But sometimes they'll lend you some money. And again, you're friends. But again, it depends on the relationship you have with them. I see a lot of business owners every year. They're trying to start a business, and family and friends are their biggest detriment to doing that. And then fools, those are people who don't know any better, but they would give you the money, right? So the SBA 7A loan program, this is for real estate and for large equipment purchases. Say you have a manufacturing business and you're buying stuff that's $250,000, $1 million or something like that. They will lend for that. They're not going to lend for a pickup truck or a office machine or something like that. It'd be large type purchases. Their standard program, the loans are going to go from $350 up to $5 million, and the loan to value up to 90%. Anybody know what loan to value means?
How much do you loan versus how much is the value of the
Right. So if you're buying something that's $100,000 and they approve your loan, you're going to have to come up with $10,000, right? So that kind of shocks people sometimes. They go, well, wait a minute, I'm starting a business. I don't have any money. Too bad, so sad. You got to come up with it somewhere. You have to have skin in the game or nobody wants to lend you money, right? Now, it doesn't have to be cash that you're putting into the deal. You could say, you write a business plan and you say, we need $100,000 to do this business, and I'm going to contribute my computer and my desk and my chair, and I can come up with all this stuff that all has a value to it. And if they agree that there's a value there, then that can apply. But you have to be aware that there is. It's important to have skin in the game, and that's what they're going to be looking for. It's always going to be dependent on the strength of the deal. So around these parts, if it's ag or oil related, they like that. Pretty much anything else, they're looking at it twice and not so much. So, and then again, they're going to have to be fully secured. So if you own things like a home or have any type of assets that they can put a lien against, they will probably do that. The terms of the loan: real estate's up to 25 years, equipment 10 years, working capital 10 years. And then we're not supposed to quote interest rates, but people always ask that. So right now it's prime plus 275, and it adjusts every quarter. Right. There are prepayment penalties on the loans that are over 15 years, and you can see how it drops off. So first year there's a 5-year %, second year 3%, and it decreases over time. The small loan program, these would be considered micro loans, or small loans are from actually 50,000 to 150 we call small loans, and then the micro are under 50,000. Loan amounts, collateral on the loans over 25,000, so 26,000 up, they're going to want collateral for that. And sometimes that's a deal breaker for people. They go, man, I own a home. I don't want them putting a lien on my home. No, that's the way it is if you want the money, right? Here's a big deal too. I'll see people that they want to start a business and they say, well, I need to borrow $200,000 and I got a lease on a building and we're going to buy equipment, we're going to do all this stuff, and everything's great. We got a great business plan, everything makes sense. And then we look at the lease and it's for 5 years and their loan term is for 10 years. The lease has to match the term of the loan. And that should make sense, I would think, to most people. Why would they lend you money if you're only going to be there 5 years and you got a 10-year repayment plan? What happens after year 5? You don't know. So they always want security there. Okay. The 10-year loans, there's no prepayment penalties, and they will give you money for working capital. The small loan program, there's a whole lot less documentation. If it's 50,000 or less, it's online in a one-page application now, which is pretty neat. Startup businesses are allowed, but they're frowned upon. So I hate to tell people that, yeah, it's no problem to get a loan, because I've never had one deal that wasn't some type of a problem. There's always some kind of issue with it, but we can get them through. But here's the other thing. So they approve you for the loan. They're not going to, if you're a startup, they're not going to fund you until the day you're ready to start operations. So you can't get the money like a month in advance and say, hey, we're going to open on the 1st of January. They wouldn't give you the money now. They give it to you then. And sometimes that's a problem for people because you go, man, I got to buy inventory. I got to get my employees set up. I got to do all this stuff. It's not going to happen, or it's difficult. So what does the SBDC do? So we sit down with the client and we go over everything. Our goal is not to replace their professionals, but just to be there for them to point out things so something's not overlooked or missed. I always tell my client that I'm your coach, your cheerleader, and your biggest fan, and if you want to win, I want to help you win. And we kind of leave it at that. We assist them with completing applications. We'll do financial projections for them. We don't write their business plan, but we'll help them pretty much write their business plan. But they got to be involved, and they got to be putting what's in their head down on a piece of paper, because we can't see in there. You know, you're the business owner, you have the dream or the vision, and you need to be able to articulate that. Everybody can get an hour of counseling to start. I'm going to give you homework, and if you don't come back with the homework done, we're not meeting again. So probably half the people that I meet with don't ever come back because they're not willing to do what it takes to win. And you know, the way I look at it, I want to work with winners. You know, why should I waste my time on people that aren't serious? But if they're serious and they want to win, hey, I'm your guy. Here's the small loan program rates. So you can see that prime plus 475, prime plus 375. So they're not really cheap loans. I mean, you can be 8 or 10% depending on what's the prime rate going on. There are loan packaging fees, so there they are broken down for you. So that fee goes to the SBA, and that's goes for the guarantee, right? Here's how the guarantee works. So they're going to guarantee 85% of the loan to the lender. So if the worst thing happens and you fail, the bank's not out 100%. So it really changes the odds for them. Here's another one. Loan payments are going to be on automatic draft from a checking account. So a lot of people don't like that. Oh, I don't want an automatic draft. Too bad. That's the rules, right? They're going to look at your credit score. Anybody know where to find your credit score? You know where to get it for free? Yes. Credit Karma is pretty good. It's not 100% accurate. So I have all my clients register with Credit Karma, but there's a big difference between consumer credit reporting and what the commercial reports are. Because the commercial reports show all the nasty stuff. And they don't want you calling up going, hey, what's this? So your consumer report can be as much as 100 points higher than your actual commercial report. So you need to be aware of that. What we want to go to annualcreditreport.com. That is the government-sanctioned free one. And you can get all 3 of your credit reports there. They do charge you for the credit score. But when I'm working with somebody, I don't care what their score is. Well, I do, but not in this case. What I'm looking for is derogatories, because derogatories are these dirty little sneaky things that right when everything's going good, something pops up and it blindsides you, and then the lender goes, no, we didn't know that. And so what I'm talking about is they say as much as 70% of credit reports have an error on them. There's an error on mine, but it's actually to my advantage, and I called them on it, and they said, no, we don't have an account with you, but it shows on it. But the thing is, I was working with a physician. The guy's making $300,000 a year. I said, how's your credit? And just like everybody says, oh, pretty good. They said, well, what's your credit score? I don't know, but it's pretty good. I said, okay, we'll go to annualcreditreport.com and get me your credit reports. So we get back together, and he brings me these credit reports, and he's got a charge off to Verizon for $150. And I'm like, what's this? See, you got to realize the lender says if you're not paying your bills, right, you got a charge off, that means you didn't pay something. You're probably not going to pay our loan either, right? So I go, what's this? He says, I never had an account with Verizon. I go, great. That's exactly why we do this now. So we can take care of that before we put the package in with the lender. Then we don't have to go back and try, backpedal and try to answer these questions, right? You want to be on the offense on this stuff. Debt to income and your personal liquidity, personal assets, those are all factors that come into play there. And again, this is loan process, very simple. If it's a small loan, you'll get a quick answer. They typically say on the small loans, 30 days to fund. I usually tell my clients 30 to 60 because I always want to under-promise and over-deliver. I've had a couple fund in like 10 days. So it is possible. The thing is if you put in the application, then they email you back and they say, hey, we need this, and we need that, and we need this. Now it's on you. And if you don't get that stuff in timely, it's just delaying. So we'll see that happen too. Okay, and then they're going to want to see financial projections. So the key to life when getting a loan is there's a 1-to-5 to 1 debt service ratio. So that means if your proposed debt payment is $1,000 a month, they want to see $1,250 of cash flow to cover that. If it's less, you're going to have trouble. If it's more, great. But that's like a minimum that we want to see there. So ineligible businesses are nonprofits. They don't do anything for nonprofits. They're on their own. Passive income businesses, so investment real estate type of businesses, those are no good. Speculative real estate deals, no ag or farm businesses. So why would the SBA not lend out to ag or farm businesses?
Not really reliable. If you have a bad crop, you're not going to make the same as what you would on a good year.
No. The reason is because the USDA does. So they don't want to be competing against each other. So maybe a little bit of a trick question for you. You can't use the proceeds to open an office overseas or in a foreign country. Now they're big on exporting. They actually have a special exporting loan program if you're going to manufacture here and then ship something over there. But if you want to plant an office or a factory over there, forget it. They're not going to help you do that. This is all about creating jobs in the U.S. They don't lend to businesses engaged in any type of teaching or instruction, counseling, no religious type affiliations, nothing with a sexual nature to it. Not for businesses with lending, nothing with gambling, pyramid sales, businesses that restrict the people that they'll deal with, no lobbying activities, no SBA loan packagers. They can't get a loan, right? And then if you've ever defaulted on any type of government loan, forget it. You're never going to get a SBA loan. So that could be a student loan or a mortgage on a home or something that was government related, FHA, something like that. It's a done deal. They won't overlook that. So we're going to talk about angel investors. Who's ever heard of angel investors? So angel investors are part of what we would call venture capital, but they're kind of a hybrid of that. And typically what we find, an angel investor, and I'll just profile them. Usually they're older guys who've been successful in business. They're young enough where they don't want to get out of the game, but they're old enough where they've made their mark already, and they see these young people out there doing exciting stuff, and they go, man, I want to be a part of this, right? So how can they be a part of it? Give them the cash, right? So how does that work? Can this go up?
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a hassle trying to get it back in. I hope everybody can see this, all right? This is a good spot. Everybody can see that? Okay, so let me get my notes so I don't miss something. I don't share this every day. If I did, then I'd be a little more well versed on it. But anyway, so say there's several of us. We're going to get together, and we're going to create some type of a business. Who wants to go into business? Start something online. Okay, I need 4 people. So who do we have? What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb.
No, mine.
Not online? Why not?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Lupita? we'll make it. So first thing we're going to do, we got an idea, right? And then we're going to have to create some type of a business plan. And we go, man, we're going to do this thing. What's the business going to be? Let's sell something. What do you want to sell online? Repeat that. Activewear? Okay, great. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, well, anybody know what a balance sheet is? So we would probably start with the idea, or maybe we'd set up a corporation, because we're going to take this thing big, right? So we're going to create a balance sheet to represent our company. And so right now, what do we have? I'm going to make this box. So we have the idea. Boy, that's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We have the idea, and then what else do we have? Maybe we have some special skills or something, right? Some special skills. Can everybody see that? Is that too small? No? So we got our idea, we got some special skills, but that's all we have. So does everybody know what a balance sheet is? Anybody know? No? Okay. So really a balance sheet is your assets, right? Minus your liabilities. And that equals your equity, right? Equity is the ownership in the company, right? And it's typically represented by stock certificates in a corporation, right? So right now, we don't have any debt. So if we had debt, that would go on the balance sheet, but we don't have any yet. So we have our idea, we have some special skills, and we say, you know what? We really think this thing's going to work, but we need some money to get this thing going, right? So we're gonna go out on the hunt, and we're going to find this angel investor who's looking for us. They're out there looking for you right now, by the way, in case you didn't know it. And usually people are looking over here and they're looking over there. So getting together is really the ordeal. But we're going to say, okay, we're going to find us an angel investor, and we finally locate a guy, and he says, man, this is a great idea. You guys are young and exciting, and I want to be part of this, right? So what do we have right now? So basically, our equity right here. Right now, here's our equity. By the way, when we create this corporation, we are going to issue stock. So, and that can be an arbitrary number. Usually, when you're first starting, you give some type of a value to the stock. Could be a penny a share or whatever. But let's say we're going to initially issue 1 million shares of stock. So each one of us is going to get 200,000 shares of stock, right? There's 5 of us. Right? Okay. So we find this angel investor, and we share our idea with him, and he gets all excited. He goes, man, I think you guys are going to make money. This is great. I want to be a part of this. So I'm going to give you some money. And we say, well, you know, we need $1 million, right? $1 million to get this thing off the ground, right? And so he goes, well, let's see what you got. And what is he going to do? To figure out the value of something, now this isn't a trick question, but what do? You're going to do what's called a valuation. And this would be a pre-money valuation. Right? So we're asking for $1 million. And he says, well, you know what? I looked at your business idea, and I've done some figuring and calculations, whatever. I think what you got here is worth $1 million. So what does that mean? So let's put down 1 million. So our pre-money valuation here is $1 million. And if he's going to give us $1 million, right, here's our angel. Right? If he gives us $1 million, that means, let me do this. That means our post-money valuation is what? It's not a trick question. Huh? $2 million, right. Run out of board. So now it's worth $2 million, right? So this is an asset. This $1 million that he gives you, let me put it here so you can see it. All right. So this is an asset, $1 million cash, and this is an asset, your idea. What's $1 million cash worth? $1 million. It's not a trick question, right? So that's how you come to that. So you have so basically, if we did 1 million shares, how would we give him value in the company?
50%.
Right. But what we do is we would issue additional stock. Right? So we get the board of directors together, we'd have a meeting, we go, hey, we want to bring this angel in, we'd authorize him, you know, we'd authorize the company to accept a payment from him for capital infusion into the company. We have a valuation of $1 a share here, right? He's the one that told us that. And what is something worth, right? What is anything worth? What's this chair worth here?
Whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
Right. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it and what the owner's willing to sell it for. That's the value that it's worth. So right now, he says your idea is worth $1 million, and I'm going to give you $1 million. Then you were getting ahead on the next one. So how much ownership does he have? 50%. All right. Now this is a stumbling block for a lot of people. They go, man, I don't want to give my company away. But what did you really give away? So the thing is, if this is worth $1 million, right, and it's $1 a share, your value is $200,000, right? When this is 100%, right, and if you're a 1/5 owner, it's $200,000 is your value, right? When you bring the angel in and he adds additional capital to the mix, now the value of the company expanded. How much money did you lose? Didn't lose a dime. Your share is still worth $200,000. So a lot of times that's a stumbling block for people, and they go, "Oh, I don't want to accept that," because angels, they don't want to just lend you money. They want part of the excitement, and they want a return. Now maybe you take that cash and you're not even going to make a payment or anything back to them for 6 months or a year or more while you're getting this thing together. There's no other lender that's going to do that for you, right? So. So anyways, so that's how that works. So you got the pre-money valuation, then the post-money valuation. Your actual dollar value of your percentage doesn't change on that if it's done right. So now there's another thing. So say we take the money and we got things going. And let me use the erase here. And now we're getting ready to do something else, right? We've taken that $1 million and we've quit our jobs. We've been feeding off of that, but we've been working in the business. We've developed the most awesome website in the world so we can sell this women's activewear. And now we want to get ready to go to market, but we're running out of cash because we spent all the money, right? So now this $1 million went to wages, and really what we had to show for it is a website, right? So now is when you would go to what they call the venture capitalists. Now these people are a different level than the angel. The angel is the good old boy who has more money, he knows what to do with, and he wants to be part of something. Yes?
So, I want to think of CrossFit and the Shark Tank. Are those angel investors or those joint capital?
You know, I don't even watch any of those shows. So they're probably a combination of both from what I've heard about.
He comes into like failing businesses and gives them money, but he gets like 51%.
Right.
And revamps it and makes money off it.
Yeah. Would you know on that?
Huh?
Would you know? What would you call
I
those?
call them more angels than venture capitalists.
Yeah, venture capitalists are usually they're people that have firms that manage other people's money. And I have a couple friends that are VCs, but they won't even look at your company until you get about the 25 million to 50 million area, So when you get to your businesses to the point where it needs that kind of infusion, that's when they come in, and then you're going to take the thing public. So that's a whole bigger deal. But say we go, you know, we're ready to launch this thing, but we need more money because now we got to get the inventory, we got to start making this product and get everything set up. So we're going to go to what's called a venture capitalist, and again, that's somebody who's managing somebody else's, you know, probably multiple portfolios, or they create managed money portfolios, and they're looking for investments where they can where they can make some money off of this stuff. And so now we're going to do this same thing over again. So we said it's worth $2 million, right? Now if the VC comes in and he says, okay, he accepts our valuation of $2 million, and we're telling him, look, we need $2 million to get this thing off the ground, or maybe we need $6 million to get this off the ground, or maybe we need 8, whatever the number is, it really doesn't matter. But he's going to come in here. So what do we have? We already know that it's worth $1 a share, right? We determined that. So whatever amount this is, say we need another $2 million. Right. So we need another $2 million to get this thing going. This is the VC. He's going to give you cash. So how much of the company is he going to have now?
50%.
Right. But how do we do that? Right. So we're going to have a board of directors meeting. We're going to authorize the issuance of another 2 million shares. Right. Now this person's got 50% of the firm. This one went from 50 to 25, and our team went to 25%. Does that make sense? Any questions on this? Now, if you do the math, how much money did you lose down here? Right. And probably, usually what happens is when these guys come in and they put that large infusion into the business, then now your post-money valuation, it might not be $4 million, it might be $5 million. Or it might be $6 million. And then you've actually realized a gain in your shares. Now you don't actually realize it unless you sell the shares, right? But there's actually a benefit to you in there. So, and then we would call this first one, we would call it a Series A, right? So we can keep track of it. That'd be a Series A issue. We could do some more development. Maybe we needed to buy equipment to make the product and set things up, get a building, all that. Then we haven't even launched yet. We might do a Series B, and that would be another level. And we could do a Series C, and that could be another level. And then eventually you get to the point where you would create an IPO, an initial public offering, and take it to market. And then that's where you would have a big payday. So your idea that pretty much came out of nothing, there was some blood, sweat, and tears there to get all this stuff going. You know, when you get to an IPO, this thing might be valued at $50 million. Now, what's your percentage? That would have increased dramatically. So that's how you make money on these things. Any questions on that? Did I explain that clearly?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So, anyways. So, and in my opinion, Angel's good. VC not so good. But I'm more of a small business guy. I'm not the real big guy. But there might be somebody in this room that says, you know what? I can do what Bill Gates did, or I could do what one of these other guys did. Why not? You know, it's up to you. So,
hang on 1 second. We gotta
did we lose
turn the screen back on?
time data? How are we doing on time data?
You got plenty of time.
Okay.
We're only about halfway done.
All right. I'm almost done. So, success stories. Anybody want to see a success story? All right. So this is, they're not, can you see it?
Warming up. It'll be on in a second.
Okay. Please stand by.
There you go.
All right. So this is Mayru Clothing. I met Veronica about 2 years ago. Super smart lady. She was an engineer for one of the oil companies here, reservoir engineer. And so was her husband. And she's a immigrant from Venezuela. Both these guys were great people. I really loved them. And but she had a clothing business in Venezuela. And when she got laid off from the oil company here, they gave her a severance package, which meant she got a big chunk of cash that she could live on for a year. And she goes, Jay, I've been here 10 years, and I always wanted to do this. It was in the back of my mind, but I was too busy working to put everything together. Now that I'm not working, I have time to get everything going. So we worked on a business plan, put all this stuff together, and then she didn't need a lot of money to get it going. She had contacts in Venezuela for the materials and the manufacturing. And we put all this stuff together, and she needed to borrow $100,000 to get it going, and we were able to do that through the SBA program. And now they're very successful. When we first launched this, it was early December of the year, and sales were terrible. Nothing was moving, and we were doing all these things, trying different launch campaigns to get the message out that they're available. The problem is, one of the drawbacks with online is you can't tell quality. When you have her product in your hand, it is far superior to anything else in at that price point. You have to pay, her pajamas sell for $20 a pair. You'd have to pay $50 to get something comparable in quality, but nobody knows that when they're just looking online. It all looks the same, right? So then we had a change of strategy, and we opened an Amazon store, and her sales went just skyrocketed. She sold out of inventory, and that's why we borrowed the money. We got it going initially, but we needed that extra $100,000 to buy additional inventory so we can get through the loop. And I don't know if you tell them about all the cash flow and how all that stuff works with.
No.
Okay, so that's a whole nother class. But anyways, but very successful in just a short period of time. Iguanas. Anybody eaten at Iguanas? Okay. So another client of ours, this is White Lane and Ash. And this guy was this used to be a Mauricio's restaurant. So he was able to take over that facility. Already had the kitchen, a lot of the stuff that you need for the restaurant. And he did have plenty of experience. He's been in the restaurant business for over 20 years. And we were able to get him funding. So now there's one more business open there. Mauricio's, they had a change in strategy. It wasn't that their business was failing there. They just wanted to be out of that location because they were focusing on other things. So it was kind of an opportune time for both of them. He could take it over, and Sergio could get the business. What it did, though, is there's 25 jobs created from just this one restaurant here. That's a big deal, 25 jobs. So there's more impact than just the business owner making a few dollars. It's all the other people that it affects also. This is another one of our clients up there at Shafter Airport. This guy, he has a business called Woodwing, and what his business has been for the last 30 years is antique aircraft. They have wood wings with fabric stretched over them, and these things, just from flying and whatnot, they get weak and come apart, and you have to dismantle them, re-glue everything, replace the bad wood and all that. That's been his business for years. Several years ago, because of the EPA restrictions, the motors that they were using in sport aircraft are small planes that you can buy, or you can buy a kit and build it yourself, and you don't need a pilot's license. You fly it with a driver's license. But so they're usually one or two person planes, and then they have a small power plant. But the motors that they were using, especially the 2-cycle motors, they're no longer valid because of the pollution control. So what this guy did is he took an existing 4-cylinder motor and he basically cut it in half. He had to design a new block and a new crankshaft and all that, but he used some existing parts, the cylinder barrels and then the pistons and whatnot, and the connecting rods. Some of the bearings and all that are off the shelf, but then he had to design some other componentry. This is about a 4-year project to get this thing going, but it is going now. And you can buy one of these motors, and you can buy it in a kit form, or they will assemble it for you. And again, it's creating jobs, manufacturing some parts, and filling a need. So to be successful in business is really simple. You find a dramatic need, you fill that need, success. There's a lot of hard steps along the way, but in premise, it's that simple. And basically that's what he did here. There's many more examples of people out there that we've helped. I personally helped over 1,000 small business owners in Kern County over the last 7 years. I have permission to talk about them. I don't have permission to talk about a lot of the others, so we keep that information confidential. But again, if you have any questions about any of this stuff. Anybody would like a card? If you want to find out about the SBDC, cards here. I gave Dr. Woods a couple of my articles. I write a column twice a month for the paper on a different business topic. So he has 2, one's on small business loans, another one's on the hazards of going into business with friends and family. And other than that, we're here to serve, we're here to help. And if you know somebody, a big part of the reason people don't know about us is we work off a grant. If you're familiar with grants, they're very specific on how the money can be used. We have no money for advertising or promotion, so it's basically word of mouth to get the message out. That's all I got.
Thank you, Jay. Always nice to have you here.
Great. Great to be here.
So that's it for today. Please feel free to grab one of Jay's cars as you're heading out, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.